So in this video, part 3 of my shop build series, I will be getting the slab and blocks done and ready to start framing walls. So first thing is the forms. I just laid the boards out quick and I nailed them together to the size of the slab. Next is to square it and screw it to the existing building. So to square it, I just measured corner to corner, and that will set the frame square. And at this point, I also raised the frame up on blocks. And this was because I wanted 10-inch thick cement at the edges, and I was working with 2x8s, which are 7 1/4 wide. So I lifted it and set it up on 3-inch blocks of wood, and that's basically just two 2x4s or 2x6 on the flat, which makes it 3 inches. At this point, it's the right dimensions, the right height, and it's square. So now it's ready to be locked into place with pickets. So here's what I used. They are 1 inch by 1 inch square, about 16 inches long. Now after you pack the edge, anything at all is really hard to hammer into packed gravel. So this small picket makes it a lot easier. I tried some just 1.5 by 1.5 inch, and they were really hard to hammer in compared to these inch by inch. So that's why I used such a small picket. So after the corners are leveled, I ran a string line from corner to corner and straightened the rest. Then I locked it into place with pickets and angle braces. So here I am laying down sheets of foam. This is 4x8 sheets, 2 inches thick. I didn't put a vapor barrier down under this, but I taped all of the joints with tuck tape to seal any of the cracks. I only put foam on the raised center part, just where the heating pipe will be. For the edges and where there was no foam, I put a heavy vapor barrier to stop the cement from drawing in moisture from the ground. I believe the main reason for insulating under the pipe is to keep the heat in the cement and not be wasted in the ground. It should make it more efficient. Along this side, I also insulated the side of the slab and out from this horizontal about 2 feet, just to stop the cement from radiating heat sideways, where it would meet up with the cold air on the outside. So now on to the PEX pipe. So I have about 1,400 square feet of floor space to cover, and my pipe runs are going to be a foot apart. So this means I'll need a foot of pipe for 1 square foot of floor. I divided it into 7 loops at 200 feet. This is just a number I came up with, and I know you can go less or more, and everybody has a different opinion, but there's a few things to think of. First, I didn't want the water to come back too cold, and a long enough loop would be harder for the pump to circulate. This is called head pressure. I didn't want too many loops because then I'd need a big manifold and there'd be more hardware, more connections, and more chances of something to leak. So to get 200 feet of pipe exactly, I just used the measurements on the pipe itself. It's marked every 5 feet. I got 2 1,000 foot rolls from Amazon. I saved some money there. And just to be safe, because it's from China, as soon as I got the pipe, I pressure tested it. Before I even unwrapped the roll, I just connected both ends to my air compressor, and I pumped it up to 100 pounds and just to make sure it was good. So usually one would use steel wire mesh sheets in the floor for reinforcement, and then the PEX pipe would get tied to that. But instead, I got cement with fiber mesh in it, and I used foam board staples to hold the pipe onto the foam. After the pipe was run, I added a manifold and I pressurized it to 100 pounds, and now I'm ready for cement, finally. Took forever to get to this point, or it seemed like it anyway. So now, I guess I should mention I put 2 runs of 5/8 rebar around the perimeter in the thickened edge of the slab. So like one's a little bit lower, one's a little bit higher, and this is for reinforcement for where the wall sits. Cement is not part of my job, but I have worked with it years ago. We poured a few slabs, but nothing this big. My friends here are very good at this, and they do it every day, so I just wheeled cement with the wheelbarrow and let them do their thing. I think the total was 19 and a half yards of cement, and it took 3 trucks to bring it. Now, if the pipe was to get damaged in any way, remember it is pressurized to 100 pounds, so we would see it bubbling up through the cement and we would be able to fix it right away. So the cement will heat up as it cures, and the air pressure in the pipe actually went up 10 pounds, and then the next day when it cooled, it dropped back down to the original 100 pounds that I had in it. So here's some pictures of it finished, and it doesn't stay dark like this for long. About the next day, it was turned white. But whenever it gets wet, it's right back to this dark. And if I was to put sealer, it would look like this. But overall, it's as smooth as glass, and it's going to turn out really nice in the end when the garage is all finished. So this is the next day. We had cut some lines in it about an inch deep, and this is for crack control because all cement will crack, and this is just to make it crack in those lines so it doesn't look ugly, like the big diagonal crack right across the floor doesn't look good. But if you can contain it in these nice straight lines, then it looks a lot nicer. So I decided to go with 3 rows of blocks, which is 2 feet high. So that plus my 12-foot framing material means I'll have a 14-foot ceiling. And I had enough blocks to do this that I've collected over the last few years. And just not too long ago, I had cut some trees for a guy, and he gave me about 50 blocks or so. And that was enough to do the whole thing. I didn't have to buy any. All I had to buy was the mortar. And I've never done blocks before myself, but I have helped with it a little bit. So I gave it a try, and it turned out good, nice and straight and everything. Not too worried about the how nice the joints look in that, because it will all be covered inside and out with either strapping and tin, or on the outside maybe with foam and strapping. I will need some kind of an insulation on it because it's a bad place for cold to come in through those blocks. So I will be insulating them, and everything will be covered. So that does it for the foundation and the cement blocks. So now I can finally get back into what I know the best and start framing walls.